I first met Tony Lawrence through a mutual friend. I went to one of his exhibitions and thought that his art was so good that we just had to make a film about him.
I first started painting seriously when I was around aged 11 or 12, changing over from metalwork, and was delighted to find that there was something I could do that I enjoyed, that I was given encouragement for. From there I continued with various exams and what have you, and went to art college. I started painting clouds seriously last year. The reason I started painting them was it followed on from my Stations of the Cross paintings. I analysed them and the aspect that excited me, that rekindled the excitement that I felt as a child, that one forgets. You go out now, you see the sky, unless you look at it, in fact, you don't see it. And my enthusiasms, the sky just takes over. It's all there, and it changes so quickly. And I really wanted to capture some of that magic.
Well, obviously Tony's art has moved away from the figurative, from the emphasis on solidity in a way in some of the forms that he portrays, towards something that seems at first less substantial.
Well, I think the point about the skies is simply that they're ephemeral. They always change. Skies are never the same. And one thing that Tony knows, and knows very well, is that what art is about defying time. The sky moves, it shifts, it changes. A photographer's job is to depict a sky. Tony's job is to catch a sky, to hold it. That's how art defies time. That's precisely why the skies are so important to Tony at the moment.
Right, at the same time as catching the sky, he has somehow avoided fixing it, because one of the things I notice most about the Sky series is that they seem to be forever moving, and the more you look at them, the more levels you see. Mm-hmm. And as you move about the room, they seem to actually change. So they also capture something of the sky's quality of being forever in a state of flux.
Right, and part of that is precisely because of technique. You'll notice if you look carefully at these pictures and look at them closely, there are areas which are scumbled, there are areas which are layered transparencies one upon the other, mm-hmm. There are areas that are very thickly painted with white, which has been smoothed and polished out. So they're literally, it isn't a totally flat surface. There are all sorts of things going on actually with the paint that conveys the movement of a sky.
My most recent exhibition, which was in the summer, was at Kieran Cross, which is British Aerospace's old building on the Strand between Charing Cross and Trafalgar Square. And I'm delighted to say it was both well attended and successful. People seem to like my new paintings, which pleased me a lot.
This looks an interesting one.
This is part of a series which is all here, which is the 14 Stations of the Cross.
What made you take on a project like this?
I read a précis of a sermon by the Bishop of Oxford that he gave to the Royal Academy dinner. And one of the things he mentioned in it was that prior to the 12th Ecumenical Council, which was held on Cyprus in the 9th century, you weren't allowed to depict Jesus or his mother or his father figuratively for use in religious institutions. Effectively, that means no Michelangelo, no Leonardo da Vinci, no Renaissance, no tradition of figurative painting until Courbet or Millet, effectively, until the invention of the camera. And I thought, how would a contemporary figurative artist deal with a major religious subject? And being the sort of artist I am, I didn't decide to do Madonna and Child without anybody in it. I chose something a bit meaty, the Stations of the Cross.
So why did you choose the crosses rather than Madonna and Child?
I decided to do the Stations of the Cross. I looked at various subjects, but this was the one that caught my attention. And with this series of paintings, I've tried to make it a catalogue of a cataclysmic event. This stripe is called a blend. It is effectively a blend from dark to light. And I thought it particularly appropriate that it should be used in this series of paintings to balance the power of the sky, of this cataclysmic event, with something smooth and calm and clear. So it effectively, it works in these paintings by throwing the torment more into focus. When I'm away from the studio, walking in the woods for example, one is thinking about painting, but one is also thinking about one's whole life, because as a serious artist, my whole life is my painting. So, for example, looking at you or looking over there, not only do I see a person, I think about the way I would paint that person. If it was described as a job, it's a 24-hour one, because even for this morning, for example, I woke up and I remembered a dream and jotted down about it, which one day might get into a painting. Everything is my canvas. Everything is my subject.
Tony is a workaholic. He starts every day with his practice of Tai Chi. He is a Tai Chi teacher. He has to practice Tai Chi every day, and when he's finished his form, he then starts painting. He paints all day, stopping at around 4 when the children come in from school. We have 5 children aged between 6 and 16, and when they're all sorted and seen to, he then goes back to painting in the evening and works until 3 or 4 every night.
So Tony, why did you decide to paint The Last Supper?
Following on from the 14 Stations of the Cross, which is in the Broadgate show, which you've seen, I wanted another challenge within the same arena, within the spiritual stroke Christian arena. The Stations of the Cross were non-figurative, figurative paintings. And never being one to shy from a challenge, I decided to do the largest group that I could manage, which was The Last Supper. One goes through cerebral processes, thinking about the ramifications, and then gets down to the real work, which begins with studies like these, which some people call sketches. Basically, they're all working drawings. Here, as with the others, I work out the balance of the composition. Where the light's coming from is shown very well here. When I get to the canvas, 7 feet long, 4 feet high, I've got to know what I'm doing, otherwise it's just going to end up as a mess. And so the drawings, studies, sketches, whatever you like to call them, are very important. And additionally, they stand as works in their own right. The disciples will look as you or I look. They were ordinary men and women, as all of us are now. One of the marvellous things about art is that it is timeless. Holbein's people, you see them in the street every day. Frans Hals' portraits, you see them. Leonardo's grotesque people, you don't have to go too far from Soho to find them. I have decided, however, to unify the costume that everybody is wearing, and I've had a habit made. The reason for this is to give me a more balanced composition, and also to add a timeless element to the painting. Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper is one of the most important paintings in the history of art. It is described as a religious painting. I don't in fact think it is. One of the things about my picture is that I have chosen a particular moment in time as an essential element to make me interested in painting it. Leonardo da Vinci, if you look at it, it is at no particular time, and it is more an advertisement for the very best that an artist can do. Having said that, I'm not denigrating his work. It is a brilliant, brilliant picture and very, very important, but he is more interested in showing how clever he is with perspective, how clever he is with his technique and his draftsmanship, and how advanced he was with the techniques he used. In fact, that is one of the reasons why his painting has deteriorated as it has. I am more interested in showing the reactions of individuals to a piece of momentous news that they have just received. All of a sudden, someone who had been leading them, who had completely changed their lives, is no longer going to be there, and the burden, the responsibility has been transferred to them. That is one of the reasons that this painting holds such interest for me as a study of the human condition.
Tony teaches. He's done some master classes for Mensa last year, and he, of course, he's always taught our children. He's encouraged them from a very early age to paint and draw, and he spends hours with them telling them the principles of drawing, and 3 of our children have since won art scholarships.
Hi,
Oh, hello, Bobby.
how's it going?
Very well indeed. Very
Oh,
well.
very good.
It is evolving.
Yes. It's really come on very well, hasn't it?
It has, that's true. There's just one more figure to go in.
Yes.
There, that's going to be Martin Scan, who's a friend of mine, hotelier, local hotelier. Some people you might know. There's Robin Mukherjee,
Yes.
my son Bobby.
And what about the food? Where's the food?
Well, the food has been sacrificed for artistic integrity. It's still of vital importance because it was one of the main reasons for me doing this piece, for choosing this subject. But the participants, the sitters, are actually going to be doing much better because they're going to have a real Last Supper. I'm giving a Last Supper dinner where they're going to get real food instead of just watching painted food.
See.
So what's the consensus?
It's the first. It is the first time I've seen the painting this evening. I've seen little bits of it before. I've seen Robin. I've seen Malcolm, but I've not seen the rest of them. I think it's amazing. Actually, it is. It takes a while to take it in. There is a problem with it, in as much as with a lot of Tony's paintings, it's very powerful, and the whole of that black background makes it very even ominous.
What I like most about it, curiously, is the background. It's got an immense amount of depth, and it makes you think a great deal. The people, of course, are all people I know, including myself, that know me very well, and that perhaps one would think it sort of detracts from the central message, but I think not. The powerful thing about it all, of course, is having Christ with his back to the camera.
Well, I think it's a new approach, isn't it? It really is a new approach. Just look at it. It's very different and wonderful ideas. And the interesting thing is everybody seems to think, when we talk about each other, that we've all been captured just right.
A lot of Tony's works, and they're always very good, so I was expecting something very good, and I think he's surpassed himself. I think it's wonderful.
Anthony Lawrence is a postmodernist who knows what he's about. He claims that in his pictures, the questions they engage are more important to him than any answers that might be found.